A quick video on another simple jig next. I'm Rick, and this shut the heck up, you stinking boosters. Now that for your sanity. This is the shack. Hey everybody, welcome. New to the channel, first time stopping by. Thank you so much for taking some of your valuable time out to view. I truly appreciate that. Now in this video, I'm going to quickly go over a very simple jig that I made so I can inlay the movements for clocks. I am in the process of making a bunch of clocks, various different faces on them. And the movements, I don't like them sticking out. A lot of the times you will just drill the hole and mount it flush on the back. So if your movement is 3/4 of an inch thick, it's going to sit out from the wall 3/4 of an inch. I want my clocks to sit as flush as possible to the wall. So I decided to get a jig set up that I can route out the diameter of the movement so it will inlay a bit so it doesn't stick out as far. As you see in this one, that's about a 1/2 inch. And the movements that I buy for 1/4 inch face, meaning the thickness of material in front of the movement. That's why I route these out till I get that inset, this part here, down to about 1/4 of an inch. I got my mic I shove in there as I route out, make sure I don't go past 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to show you real quickly, very simply, a jig I came up with, and I'll explain more as we go through it. Very simple, very easy, very quickly. Now this is my jig complete. That's all it is. The dimensions are, and you don't have to have these dimensions, make it to fit your needs, whatever you want. The reason I went this way, this was a piece of stock that I had that was about 4 feet long. This is scrap wood from a display cabinet I built. So I cut it down to 24 inches, and I think this is 7.5 inches wide. It would end up being. Yeah, 7.5 inches wide. It just what it happened to be. The reason I cut it to 24 inches is you can look up here. I'll have links in the description below. As I stated, I am making clocks. So I made a jig that I can get consistent results in making circles. So I made a quick jig, very simple with consistent results. It's fantastic. And I can make up to 24-inch diameter circles on it. So I figured if I was to make something that big, I'm kind of thinking I may want to try that. That's going to be a big shop clock so I can see it from a distance. I don't carry my phone with me all around the shop. I just set it down. I check it now and then because I'm kind of busy. So if I have a big clock, I can see from the distance the time, kind of keep track of what I'm doing. I could clamp this to my stock or to the 24-inch diameter, and I could do my inlay. So these are all the pieces that I have, and I will explain now. Now if I was to mount the movement to my clock, it would stick out 1.5 inches from the wall. I can't have that. I want to inlay it into the clock. I'm just going to call it my guide for now. I'm going to cut it a little bit larger than the movement. The movement is 2 1/8 inch square. I'm going to cut my guide a little bit larger and allow for the guide bushing. So I cut my guide at 2 5/16. Once I get it cut square, I find the center and I drill a 1/4 inch hole. Now I get my soon-to-be template. I get that center, mark it, drill a 1/4 inch hole on that also. Now I set my guide on my soon-to-be template and mark all 4 corners. I drill a hole on either end of the square, I get my jigsaw, and I cut out the template. Now once I get the square cut out, I get my guide and I check fit. Either sandpaper, file, or in my case, I just use my jigsaw to shave off the edges and square up the corners. Once the guide is fitted to the template, I drill a 1/4 inch hole in the stock, set my guide on there, get 2-way tape. Once I get the template lined on the stock using the guide, I simply press the template to the stock and we're ready to start routing. With the template all set, basically now I just have to set my router. Now when I put my router on the template, I go from the highest setting on the turret, I'll click it 2 steps down. Once I have it there, that's where I got to set my final depth on my stop rod. I will go little by little, and unfortunately because this is a small area and there's not much as far as dust collection, I have to route a little bit and vacuum it out, route a little bit and vacuum it out. But I check the depth as I go until I get down to the final thickness of 1/4 inch. When I get to that thickness, I set my stop rod on that 3rd step. So when I go back down to that step, I will stop right there. So now all I do, the next few clocks that I do, I turn my turret to the top setting, first plunge, route it out, vacuum it, switch the turret to the 2nd setting, plunge down, route it out till I get to the 3rd setting. Once I finish my 3rd and final plunge, I get my caliper out, I check the depth, make sure I am staying within my guidelines, and voila, right there, I am at 0.240. Perfect. Now what's good about this is if I get done and I like it, everything's nice, and for some reason maybe I didn't do it right, or maybe I didn't get it deep enough, not paying attention, like, oh heck, how am I going to line this up? That's easy, because this does not fit in there, so it still lines up. I can set it back on there, get a square, set this back on there, take it out. I'm still lined up perfectly. Now I can go in and plunge it and get a little bit deeper if that's what the problem was, or maybe I didn't get quite to the edges, but I can put this back on there and still get consistent results, and that's what's cool about it. So that is my simple jig that I made for my inlay for the movement of my clocks. Told you, simple, easy. I guess you could call this a template, but it's my jig for the movements of clocks. The thing is, if I screw up, if something happens, no matter what, I can replace this on there exactly the way it was, refine the hole if need be, or go a little bit deeper, doesn't matter. I get consistent, repeatable results with this super simple, easy jig, template, whatever you want to call it, but I get the results that I want. All I have to worry about is setting my turret, my router, to the depth that I want. So the first one takes a little time to get it to the right depth. Once I have that set, turn the turret up 2 notches, go to the rest of them, as you saw in the video, click, go down, click, go down to the final setting, done. I get the same results, repeatable results, perfect results every single time. Wow, nice. So if you're looking for something, maybe this will help you in your quest for whatever jig you're trying to make. Maybe they'll give you some insights, suggestions, a little help, a little guidance, starting point, whatever it may be. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be blessed. Take back your shack. It's hot in here for your sanity. Time's a wasting. I gotta get busy. See you next video. I have another, what do I have? What do I have? Come on, coffee, kick in. I have something, I don't know what. I don't know, something about clocks, I don't remember. I got another simple jig for clocks. No, that don't sound right. So that's why I made it 24 inches. I could clock it to the stock, clock it? I could clock it, baby.